Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and tonight, whenever you're listening to this, man, I'm joined by El Jefe, Dustin Richardson. Brother, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Been a busy week. Got a lot to talk about, so I had to hop on here.
Lots to talk about, man. Especially, I mean, not the greatest of the greatest weekend, I would say, soccer wise, but really heavy news, I guess, on the Dash side of things more than the Dynamo. But it's just never ending with news.
Yeah, transfer window closed in NWSL. Friday? Was it Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
And then MLS is closing today as we're recording this Tuesday night. Dynamo made one trade and reportedly making another signing. We'll see when it gets announced. But yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah, lots going on. So it's fun. This is silly season after all. Christian, we miss you. He said, "Aguante los pibes." So there's Christian right here listening to us. Not a lot happening with Dynamo 2. That was the only team that skipped a week.
They
When it
needed
comes to
a week
playing.
off.
Yeah, especially after Ben saying, and I think it was the pregame presser talking about how he felt for Kenny, and
That was
like
pretty interesting. Joey, our boy Joey, asked Ben about Dynamo 2 and just kind of, things about it, and Ben was very praising of Kenny, and he basically came out and said results don't matter with that team, which is the truth. It's the honest truth, and Ben will always give you the honest truth. They've lost 4 games to start the season, but Ben's like, it's fine. Those don't matter. And he said there's a number of guys on that team that they're looking at, that they have their eye on. So I mean, that's what's important, right? The pipeline.
Yeah, and I guess might as well, since we got started there. Dynamo 2 does play against North Texas Sunday night at 7:30. Everybody's on the road this weekend. So again,
they keep doing that. The double Dallas games, like Dynamo 2 in Dallas at the same time, which is kind of cool if you're making the trip up there this weekend.
Yeah, I remember
hang around till Sunday night.
2 seasons ago, 2 or 3 seasons ago, they played early in Dallas. I think it was like a 2 o'clock game, 2 or 3 o'clock game, and then right after that, North Texas and played. I think it was actually 3 seasons ago, because that's the first year for Dynamo 2. And yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're already over there and you can spend another extra day, even though it's a 7:30 p.m., kind of rough.
Yeah, on a Sunday.
Yeah. So, but those games are fun, man. I think rivalry games bring the best out of everybody. I think if you ask Kenny, he does not see this as a rivalry game, just because the league is young. But at the end of the day, you are playing Dallas versus Houston, Houston versus Dallas. Those are always fun games, as we know, Dustin.
Yeah, Houston, Dallas, no matter what you're playing in, if it's MLS Next Pro, if it's some, a youth tournament, I think there'll always be that rivalry.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we're gonna touch really mostly about the Dash. And then before we talk about the Dynamo, we did get to chat with Daniel Stairs, so we'll throw that in the middle as we segue into the Dynamo. But Dynamo 2, man. Let's see. We there's not a ton to discuss, since we've already kind of touched on this, and it's been about a 10-day break since our last game. But what are you thinking, man? Do you think Kenny finally get some points? I mean, I know it's an away game, and he's mentioned in the past how road games in MLS Next Pro is not the same when it comes to, the crowd's not as heavy, I suppose. But you'd think they finally get the opportunity to get some points back, man.
It's going to be tough. This North Texas team, I think, is undefeated. Like, they have a couple draws and a couple wins, but they haven't lost yet. They have 6 goals in 5 games, and they're undefeated. That's kind of crazy. They've only given up 3 goals in 5 games, so they're a
Clear
Ben,
favorites.
a Ben Olsen team. It looks like they don't score a lot, but they don't concede a lot. Um, like you said, it's hard to kind of judge these games, and it's hard to. And Ben even talked about, we didn't get to talk to Kenny last week because they were off. We will this week, but Ben kind of spoke about Dynamo too, and he kind of joked that Kenny told him the first thing they need to do is play with 11 players. Like they've gotten red cards in two of their 4 games, which hurts. So if they can finish the game with 11, that's a good start. Um, Exxon Arzu, I think, is the guy that everyone's kind of looking at as this next big, the Albert Elise 2.0. He's hungry.
Hmm.
He's a winger. He's super fast. He kind of checks all the boxes of the next Elise. He got a red card in that game. Last game? Was it last game or 2 games ago?
2 games ago. Hmm.
Yeah, but MLS Next Pro has that weird, like, if you get a red card, you're suspended the next time you play that team, not like the next game, like in most soccer leagues around the world. So he got to play in the next game, and he'll play this game. So he will miss the next time they play. I think it was LAFC. It's another odd MLS Next Pro rule, but I would consider them not favorites, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And yeah, no, I think Arsu has been the best player on the field for them. Um, he scored obviously a few goals in different games. The results didn't go their way on the final whistle, but he's an interesting player. And from social media, it looked like he had maybe dealing with some personal issues. Maybe that's what kept him away the last match that they got trashed 4-0 against Sporting Kansas City too. So hopefully he comes back from what he's dealing with, and he can make a bigger impact. And whenever you look at all the players, and I think even Pat Onstad had mentioned the fact that he's a guy that they see could eventually make a run at the first team, kind of like we've seen in the past with maybe Beto Avila and players like that. They've done some, but this guy you mentioned Albert Ellis, and it's difficult not to find similarities to him in his game, which should excite a lot of fans, and maybe the fans that haven't really kept up with Dynamo too. So definitely, I would let you guys know if you are a Houston Dynamo fan, backwards. You can always watch those games on Apple TV as well if you already have it. So watch Dynamo 2 and see what players like Arsu and the rest of the youth out there has. And they've been playing well. You look at the result of 4-0, looks scandalous. But they've been playing well whenever they're able to keep 11 players on the field, for
Yeah.
sure.
They're really young too. Like it's kind of a different Dynamo too. Kenny's talked about that. In the first couple of years, it was Talon and Jacob Evans, and it's kind of some of these kind of older. And when I say older, I mean like early 20s older,
Right.
guys. But now they've kind of let those guys go, and they've brought in this kind of new wave of like teenagers. Kieran Sargent's playing a lot for them. Scylla, Honor. Um, and then there's like some 15, 16-year-old. I think there's a couple 14-year-olds on the team. So it's exciting in that aspect that you're getting to see some super young guys that are ready for this level, and hopefully soon making their way up to the MLS level.
For sure. And just because one of our guests or our guests showed up, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce them. But we'll talk a little bit more when it comes to the Dynamo. But Hooties, thanks for joining us, man. He's gonna try to give us more or less the intel on the supporters going to Frisco on this weekend. So thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, what's up? How's it going? Guys can hear me well?
Yeah, man, we got you.
Yeah, gotcha.
Dope. Yeah, I'm just using my headphones, so I don't know if it's gonna work or not.
Nah, you're good. So
Yeah, man.
yeah. What?
Go for it.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, yeah. So we'll definitely bring you back
Yeah.
as soon as we go into Dynamo, because we'll probably spend 20-30 minutes on there too. So
Yeah, I
uh
bet.
and yeah, so and obviously plenty of questions, and see, being that you're a part of El Batallon and the group over there with the Hustle Town supporters group, trying to see exactly how the people that are making their way, again to Dallas this weekend. See kind of what that looks like, man. But we'll bring you right back in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Dustin. So going into Houston Dash, the craziness was crazy to say it in layman words. But yeah, me and Christian obviously touched on the whole Maria Sanchez news of like her demanding a trade. I like it because if you actually go back or if you were able to listen to us talking, I felt that it was a done deal. Like she was gone. Um, Chris did too, but I do remember Chris mentioning like, well, what if it doesn't happen? Like at this point, we're just gonna slander her name, and in the sense of but at the end of the day, we were right, and the news broke out. Was it Thursday night when she posted either Wednesday
Yeah,
night or Thursday night? So
I think it was Thursday night, the night before the deadline. She posted that tweet. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking it was even like 50-50 that she might stay. Like, there was just the reports, ESPN and I think Theo reported it too. Um, it, People that have great insight into the team. I'm not doubting their reporting, but it was just kind of like, she's unhappy and the deadline's coming up. And if you can't get a deal, you can't get a deal. But then Thursday comes and she drops that tweet where she basically says, trade me immediately and fulfill my wishes, basically. I don't
mhm,
know her exact quote, but it was like at that point, it was like, okay, well, that was her agent probably saying, hey, they're not doing this fast enough, so let's put a little pressure on them. And I tweeted it at the time from our Bayou City soccer account, but she kind of cut off all the leverage, any leverage that they had, at the time, because you were like less than about 24 hours from the
mhm,
deadline, and she was like, "Get me out of here." So the other teams that were dealing with the dash, ultimately San Diego got her, but they could kind of say, "Yeah, well, we're not going to give you that much because you have to trade her anyway."
mhm,
Um, that being said, it seems like Alex Singer did get a good haul for Maria, $500,000, I think, total international roster spot. So, which we'll talk about what they did with that in a minute, I guess. But Maria out, I think we were all kind of agreement in our group that okay, fine. Like if you want to go, go. Like and I know people love Maria, and she's a kind of a face of the franchise type player. She's Mexican, which is obviously huge here in
mhm,
Houston. But and I'm gonna anger some people that was saying this, but Maria's not that good.
mhm,
Like if you look at her stats and you look at her scouting report on Football Reference and stuff, like she's very skilled. She just doesn't turn it. She doesn't have an end product. She doesn't turn it into a lot. She has like 3 or 4 goals. I think is her career high in a season. A couple of 3 or 4 assists, something like 4 goal, 4 assist season for a player like Maria Sanchez that you're paying 1.5 million for over 4 years. Like you expect a lot more out of that. You look at some of the other stars, wingers around NWSL, the Sophia Smiths, Trinity Rodmans, these attacking players that have gotten paid recently, Mal Swanson, and they put up big numbers. And Maria just never did that here. And you could say it was systems and coaches changing every other year, and which is probably a valid excuse, but at the same time, she just never was that kind of breakout. We saw Ebony Salmon have like a crazy goal scoring run. Maria never did anything like that. She just
mhm.
kind of was doing nutmegs and cool moves in the corner, and then it was on to the next game.
Yeah, Fred mentioned Alex did amazing, especially consider she had no leverage, and it's true. It's
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
she did. Yeah, I mean, especially with like I said, she kind of got cut off at the knees with Maria's tweet, and then she comes out and it gets what was I think it was a record um, league transfer,
Mhm.
interleague transfer, cash wise. So yeah, good job, Alex.
No, but I agree with you, and I've always been the pessimistic on the group when it comes to Dash. Just seeing the way that they develop their game and the way that they approach it. But whenever you talk about Maria, it's true. I mean, it doesn't matter how many coaches you go through. I think if you are a player that can score goals, score assists, all that good stuff, it doesn't matter who your coach is at the end of the day. Like that, the finished product should always be there, right? I mean, the top athletes they're gonna go through coaches, basically every season almost. I mean, if you take like if you're going all the way to like the top notch, right? Maybe like a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, they usually go through coaches like every 1 or 2 seasons, and the ones that are gonna do something with the team. Like that didn't stop Cristiano Ronaldo from scoring goals, right? I mean, the talent obviously it's hard to compare, but if you are supposed to be one of the most talented players on your position, you should be able to make an impact, and that just wasn't the case here.
Yeah,
Um, mhm,
I will give Maria a lot of credit too, though. She was very professional throughout it. You can say what you want about her tweet, and I'm 95% sure that was something her agent put out, not her. But she was at games, she was at trainings, she was at the Dash Meet the Team event, which I was at a couple weeks ago, or 2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks ago, right after that Washington game. And then all the news broke like the next day. So yeah, she didn't pout and like hold out and just I'm not showing up. She fulfilled her contract all 4 months of it.
yeah, exactly. And you had made a good point, and Christian and I talked about it that at the end of the day, she was kind of like in stuck between two hard places because she had the Dash were able to either match any other contract, and at the end of the day, she was gonna have to sign, not necessarily gun to her head by any means, but sort of, kinda. That's the feeling that we got, and uh, you have to have those players be happy and actually enjoy their time because by the they start sending out a trade request, usually they're already checked out mentally, but for them to still show up, to play, to be interacting with the fan, that does take a lot of professionalism for sure. So good on her.
Yeah. So the Maria news broke like Friday afternoon,
Hmm.
and then everyone kept thinking, okay, when are they getting a defender? Because that was the biggest thing, right? This team's given up like I think 14 goals or something already, the highest in the NWSL. They basically have no center backs,
Hmm.
playing three center backs, with Sophie Schmidt, Sarah Puntagam, who are defensive midfielders, and then they've been rotating, kind of like Natalie Jacobs, Courtney Peterson.
Hmm.
And then the news broke that they were getting Paige Nielsen from Angel City, which a good veteran center back, a very good NWSL caliber center back, which they just frankly didn't have on their roster.
Hmm.
And then the news breaks that they go big, right? Alex Singer takes the Maria Sanchez money, basically flips it to down to Brazil, and which the news was made official today. But they signed Tarsiani, the 6 foot tall. She's a unit center back,
Hmm.
20
Very
years
raw
old,
talent for sure.
very raw. But people I've spoken to have said that she's got the ceiling of like world class, best center backs in the world kind of level. So that is, I think, super exciting for Dash fans, for NWSL fans, even seeing a young, kind of up and coming talent. You see a lot of
Hmm.
these players come over from Europe, and join the NWSL, but now you have a South American, like 20-year-old, who's kind of just hitting her stride. She's just started to get senior caps with Brazil, and now she's coming to the Dash, and she's going to anchor their back line now. It's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was we they had mentioned it. We had mentioned it. I was going to say Fran Alonso had mentioned it plenty of times of how it was in the works. He was getting with the board, that being general manager and technical director on bringing in some help defensively, and it took some bit. It took all the way to the end of the wire, and but it made it happen. So Nielsen obviously one of the best defenders in NWSL, and then you bring, like you said, a young up and coming centerpiece who, you know, she's basically a Mikael of the Dash now. I mean, she's 6 foot tall, which doesn't seem that tall, but she towers over 90% of the her competitors at this point. It's pretty
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and then in the women's game, she's big and she's physical. If you watch some of those highlights, we're looking at some today in our chat. She's just bowling over people on defense. I think you or Christian said she's like a red card waiting to happen.
Yeah.
She's like you said, she's a little raw. She's got some polishing to do so that she's not just running people over. But she's very gifted too. Like you could see,
Mhm.
she takes penalties. She took penalties for Brazil. She scored against Canada recently in the She Believes Cup, and she's taken penalties before. She scored a bicycle kick like in the I
Mhm.
think it was the U20 World Cup. Ball bounced off the crossbar, and she just boom bicycles it in. So she's very physical, but she's also very gifted and like with the ball with her feet. So yeah, I'm excited to see her play.
Yeah, no, me too. I definitely can attest to that. It's gonna be interesting. Just seeing, and especially pairing those two center backs together. Uh, like you mentioned, see, just watching the last game. And before we start recording, I mentioned how obviously you're playing with makeshift Bonnie Garcia type of plugged ins, and the one that struggled the most was Punningham that game. I mean, she was a part of three of those goals, three out of those four goals, and um, it was hard to watch at times because you could just see she was slow or her timing wasn't right. Obviously, not being necessarily a natural center back, even though she has gotten plenty of experience throughout her career there. But these two players coming in, they should make an immediate impact once they're able to get the chemistry together. And it may still take some time. Um, Christian said, "Free my boy Hooties." I know Hooties can hear us. He's gonna get it. Um, but the other thing, one thing that I've been also kind of sounding a little sour about, and just the fact that I don't see, or I did not see the quality in the strikers that we have. And I know a lot of people when they sign two defenders, they're like, "Wow, another defender." Is like, well, they are players you need. Wouldn't you say? I mean, you mentioned how many goals they've gotten scoring when last year and even the year before they were probably the best defensive team, which we knew Fran Alonso coming in was going to be a big change.
Yeah, I think they gave up like 15 goals last season, which was like an NWSL record, and they've already given up 14, and it's been like
Hmm.
6 weeks of the season. So yeah, it's a new coach, it's a brand new system, and you're basically playing three at the back, but with no center back. So it's disastrous waiting to happen. We saw Nielsen in training today, so hopefully she's ready to go on Saturday for the dash. She'll probably plug right in and start immediately. Um, One thing I did want to mention on the dash before we go to Hurice and talk Dynamo, I think it was interesting talking to Diana Ordonez after the game. If you haven't seen the video, it's on our Twitter. But I asked her kind of about, we hear this stuff about, oh, you have to adapt to a system and adapt to a coach. Like, what is that? How is that going for you? And she was very raw and very honest. Like, she said, we're in a rebuild, whether we like it or not. But she trusts Fran, she trusts the system. And I think that's important, not just for her, but the other players. I won't say Maria didn't trust the system
Hmm.
but she obviously wanted out for something. I'm
Hmm.
not going to speculate on what she wanted out for, but I think it's important. And we've seen this, with the Astros and even the Texans, and the Rockets, all the teams really, they've had these just kind of bad rebuilding years, right? Where it was like, okay, we're going to be bad this year, but we're going to have some young people and we're going to have some players and we're going to kind of see what they are. And I think you're seeing that with the dash. And I think it's important that those players kind of own that now. And they're like, you know what, this is a build. What Fran's putting in can be something special, but it's going to take time, and we're probably not going to be that good for stretches. But at the same time, there's an end goal in place, and I think the players are bought into that, especially the players they have now. So seeing that, I think, is encouraging if you're a Dash fan, just that they know that they're in a rebuilding right now. They're not trying to sugarcoat, and say, oh, we were so close or something. We can win the NWSL this year. they're very honest with it, but at the same time they trusting the process, which we heard with the Astros and all those other teams.
Yeah, and when I was going into the pessimistic set of mind that I may have sometimes when it came to talent, I mean, obviously, uh, if you hear this podcast, you probably heard me just not necessarily happy or sure of how the quality or of talent that was on top, and that obviously included Maria Sanchez, Ordonez, but the last couple games, I feel like obviously, Maria Sanchez is gone, so it's not can't discuss anything there, and we'll find out how she does the rest of the season in NWSL with San Diego. But um, I've been actually impressed with the work rate that Ordonez has shown. We know that she's more of a target number 9, but she's been asked to do a lot in the sense of build up and sometimes coming in as a 10 or playing as a false 9 and having to um, trust her speed and acceleration to try to get on counters. And she scored goals. So it looks like she's gaining some confidence. And like I said, I've been impressed. And I know I tend to be the pessimistic one, but the way that she is working hard to help the team, especially right now that a lot of the other pieces around her in the attacking are not clicking yet, whether it be Michelle Alosia, who's been missing basically, in her um, contributions, as well as maybe Alessandra and a couple Yuki. Some of the players on top are not there yet, chemistry wise, I would think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of piece together all these. They still, even with Maria gone, they still have a ton of attacking pieces. Diana and Bachman should be hopefully debuting soon. Andressa, West, Kaiser's been hurt. Barb. They have all kinds of attacking players, so it's going to be interesting to see kind of Alozia, like you said, how Fran kind of pieces them together, because they are going to have to play some defense a little bit at some point.
Yeah, at some point. And obviously, again, they're on the road. This time they're playing against newbies to the league, in quotations, I suppose, being that they used to be in the league. But Utah, they'll be playing against Utah Royals Saturday at 6:30 p.m. So you'll have the Dash an hour early, and then the Dynamo game, and then obviously on Sunday you have another game. But all right, man, what are you thinking? You think it finally clicks? Do you think they get anything out of it?
I think this Utah game comes at a great time for them, because Utah's not good.
Mm-hmm.
They're in 14th out of 14 teams right now. They've won one game and they've lost 4. They've given up a lot of goals too. So this is a team that you, at least on paper, that you feel like you can match up with, even with all the moves and the additions and the new team and new players and new staff and system and all that. I think this is the kind of game that they can kind of get right. We saw how they did against Bay, the other expansion team. They were able to beat them in kind of a wild game, and that Bay team's very talented. So I think this Utah team, it feels like a game that they can win and kind of get confidence. And as they add Nielsen, I'm sure Tarsiani will be here. She has to go through all the green card and all that stuff, so she probably won't be here for a couple games. But just get some build up leading into that and keep kind of growing in Fran's system.
Yeah, we know that attacking wise, it's there, right? They're gonna attack a lot. What's been unfortunate too was Jane Campbell has struggled at times just doing saves that end up leading into goals. And again, that's more on the positioning of your center backs as well. So it's just interesting. But I'm with you. I think that if they have an opportunity to take some points away, it's against the newbies to the league. They already did it against Bay FC. So Utah Royals, uh, for sure, trying to get chemistry from the dirt, right? With this brand new expansion. So it should be an interesting one for sure. David says hi. Hi, David.
What's up, David?
And then let's finish it off with Dago just makes a good point, man. I just want to hear what do you think, Dustin. But he said it's weird how Maria jumped ship after signing a record deal. Do we start questioning the Dash? They have had a few scandals in recent years. So my question to you, obviously, you think that, I mean, obviously Maria Sanchez left. They got the best that they could with that deal, I suppose, and others. But do you think, we start seeing, I guess, something good out of it in this rebuild, as Diana Ordonez called it?
Yeah, it's I think a lot of people kind of they see this Maria thing and they immediately think, oh man, it's the same old Dash, or
Mhm.
oh, it's the Dash with the problems, the Clarks and stuff, the Matt Lamps and stuff that just happened this off season, the goalkeeper coach who got fired. Um, it, like I said earlier, it's hard to speculate on what exactly Maria was unhappy about, but it seems from what just putting pieces together that she was basically just unhappy with the team. She was unhappy with playing under different coaches and different systems and kind of playing her in different areas. Again, I'm speculating on just what we know. We haven't heard anything from Maria or the Dash, but I don't think you can. Doesn't seem like it's this is a Dash front office issue, or like Maria's being um, anything fishy is going on, because you would have heard that from a lot of other players. And Diana has been when we heard from Diana after the game on Saturday, she was very bought in to plan, to Fran's plan, the front office's plan, just kind of this thing that they're putting in place. And it is it's Alex Singer, who's been here a couple years now, but it's Fran, it's the new technical director who just got here, it's new assistant, so it really is a new Dash. I think Alex Singer might be on her hourglass might be running low. She made some big swings here at this deadline. Trading Maria is obviously a huge swing, but then going out and getting Tarsiani, getting Paige Nielsen when they needed defensive help, like I think it was Fred said, what she was able to do without a lot of leverage, I think she did well. Now it's just a matter of, can it come together on the field? So I think it's not really front office. I think it's just been this Dash team's just been bad. They've made one playoff appearance in this is their 10th season. So now it's about, turning the corner and getting these players, like I said, that are bought in now. It seems like they're bought in, and now it's rebuilding. It's kind of starting this thing from the foundation and going up.
Yeah, and it's definitely nice to see, like you mentioned, the front office. Obviously, Ted Siegel being able, happy to invest on what others may see as a second team, right? To what he bought with the Dynamo. But he's always taken it very seriously that when people ask him, oh, about buying the Houston Dynamo, he tells them, we also bought Houston Dash. And so for him to be willing to spend money and give, in this case, trusting his general manager and see what she can do and trying to put something together, it's interesting for sure. And who knows? I mean, you can start off the season, not in the greatest of shapes, but at the end of yourself, like the MLS, is very forgiving, and quite a few of the teams make it into the playoffs. So we've seen the Dash definitely do that in the past. So um, you hope that Fran Alonso is the guy. Fran Alonso is able to get his team to play the way he wants to play, and that it's enough to see them get another playoff appearance, something that obviously has been pretty rare this far into the season. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's time to free Hoories some, right? Hoories, we'll free you in,
We
man.
missed you.
Yeah. I'll get you right in, but I'll just let the listeners, and thank you everybody for joining, man. A lot of people obviously on their chat doing a great job. We have close to 100 something people watching us live, and everybody that checks us on the podcast. And yeah, obviously, you go to the YouTube channel. In case you missed any of this live recording, you just go to the live tab and you'll be able to find the streams there. So, uh, and before anything else, I guess I always forget to tell the people how they can connect with us. But since Christian's not here, that's usually his thing. Make sure to check out BayouCitySoccer.net. for everything and anything Houston soccer sports. Um, and then our social medias are pretty easy, whether it be X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, and our YouTube is Bayou City Soccer on all of those. So definitely, man, let us know, share, interact with us. We love it. And Hooties, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey,
You're
what's
in.
going on? Yeah,
Uh,
man.
all
You
right.
know what's funny? You know what I was thinking about? I was like, what were they called before? And I had totally forgot the name. I had to look it up.
Who?
Dynamo Theory.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
totally forgot. I totally
Those
forgot.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Those guys.
those guys, man. But Hooties, man, thanks for joining us. I know
Yeah,
again, being that the Dynamo have a big game and they had a big game last Saturday, and we'll talk on that as well. But those road trip games, man, those away games are always fun. So that's why we want to get as much information, maybe how people can get there. But before we jump fully Dynamo talk, let's go ahead and I'll play the soundbite from earlier today with Daniel Steres. This is brand new to everybody except for me, right? Because I was the only one that has heard myself talk clearly. But and then we'll get your thoughts on what Daniel maybe talks about and kind of go from there.
Sure.
Welcome to a special episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and we are joined by Houston Dynamo defender Daniel Steres. Daniel, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Let's just start with the tough loss, obviously, over the weekend against Austin. What's your takeaways from that disappointing result?
Yeah, disappointing for sure. We hate to lose a game like that to a team like that in our state, a rival. We know it means a lot. So, it's disappointing in that sense. On the flip side, as a game, I thought we played well. We dominated. We did what we wanted to do. We got chances that we should have probably taken and had a better grasp on the game heading into the late stages there. And then obviously we can clean up and make a better play at the end to not give the goal up. But overall, I think we're still taking steps. It's still early in the season, and it's kind of how we want to play. And, we want to put that right foot forward. Even if it isn't a loss, we take those lessons and move forward.
Obviously, you've seen the limited minutes this season, started and played all 90 on Saturday. How important, is it to stay focused and continue to work, knowing that your name may be called, any week?
Yeah, I had a kind of a weird start to the year, missing all of preseason almost, and just getting the game early on. Didn't really feel fit yet, so it's been tough just trying to stay ready. This last game I felt better than the one in Minnesota, just fitness wise. You can't recreate game fitness as much as you try. So I've been doing it for a while in the league. I understand how this goes, and everyone on our roster, especially with injuries and the amount of games we play, has to be ready at all times. And I think that's what's made our team good, at least last year, and moving into this year is guys step up when they're called on.
All right. I've always said how I enjoy watching you, man. Just because you have the ability, to be plugged in anywhere on the field and typically delivered against Austin. We saw you again as a left back, and I think we spoke about this before. Not something that you've played fullback in the past, but has it grown on you so far?
It has, actually. The way we play, it's set up pretty well for me, I think, in that position. We're not a standard 4-4-2. I'm playing complete left back where I'm having to do what maybe a different team's left back is doing. So I think it fits me well. I get to kind of make plays from that left-sided area, whether it's going forward or breaking lines. I do enjoy actually coming in, taking on my right foot, and it kind of opens up the field for me. So, yeah, it's kind of grown on me. I've obviously been playing it a lot with this team and in Ben's kind of system we've got going here. So it's nice. I do get to go forward a little bit more and find myself getting more chances or in higher spots, which who's not going to want to do that, right? Guys played center back his whole career. I get to go forward a little more. So yeah, it's been okay. It's a little different fitness, a little different running style, a little different positioning, but I think I've always tried to really focus on that in my game, and I'm learning the little nuances, but each game is something new for me, so it's been good.
And obviously, you mentioned about getting a look at goal, being a center back. You had two shots or two looks at goal. One was a header that was relatively close on the first half at the end. And then in the second half, you had a volley. I believe it was blocked that ended up in a corner. Both had potential. Just tell us a little bit about those looks.
Yeah, I mean the set piece right before half would have been huge for us. I think it missed by inches at that. I thought I got a good head on it. It was a play we kind of drew up. I mean, put in a great ball right where I was supposed to be, and sometimes that's the way it goes. I don't think he had it covered if I put it on target, so that would have completely changed the game. You go in right before halftime up 1-0. I think it changes the way that second half goes. So a little unfortunate there. And yeah, the second half volley, it was up in the air for so long, trying to judge it, and just I kind of side footed it. I think I got it pretty well, and it was probably going towards target. The guy was right there and blocked it, but yeah, I mean that's some of the spots I talk about. I get to end up in the first one's a set piece that I usually go up for anyways, but I find myself in that back post a little bit, following the plays up.
Yeah, that volley, obviously, with your left foot, your weak foot, didn't seem the most comfortable. But now that you're up there, how much do you get to practice? Those opportunities, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought I've been pretty good with both feet, so I'm enjoying using my left foot more and more, and yeah, it's enjoyable to be up there. Like I said, I think I hit it pretty well. If the guy wasn't there, I don't know what happens, but yeah, it's I hope to be in more of those spots and find myself with more assists and goals going forward.
And you mentioned about you missing a little bit of the preseason, but team's starting to get a little healthy now. Hector Herrera's back, Sebastian is back. But what is it like, I guess or in Hector's case, knowing, or the team knowing that he's back in the rotation? How does he push the team?
Yeah, I mean, he's a huge figure on our team, leadership wise, obviously on the field. So yeah, I mean, it's incredible to get, arguably one of the best players in the league, easily top 5 in the league, of just back on your team, and we're already doing pretty well. So it's going to be definitely big for us. He, similar to me in the early stages of the season, I mean, it's going to take him a while to get game fit, game sharp, and all that, and we expect that. So it's just trying to get him minutes like this last game. Try to get him back out there when we can, so he can get going again. But we know it's going to be big for us. We know it's early in the year, and the more healthy we get him moving into the later stages, the better off we'll be.
You obviously been a part of some really great rivalry matches in your MLS career. Houston versus Dallas tends to be a feisty one. How do you perceive that Texas Derby to be?
Yeah, I've seen some of it, and obviously, what was it, a year or two ago? There was I think it was 2 years ago, a teenage scoring like 108th minute or something like. Yeah, they've been pretty feisty. I say that's a good word for it. There's definitely some action going on there. So yeah, it's been an exciting derby for us so far. They're a good rival. It's been kind of back and forth. I don't think one team has had the dominant spell even recently. So it should be exciting again this weekend. We got 2 back-to-back rivals, in-state rivals here, and I think we even play them a couple more times in the next month or so. So it should be a good one.
And obviously Dallas, being plagued with a lot of injuries this season. It won't matter come Derby Day, obviously, but what do you guys, I guess, or think or need to do well to be or to have a successful result on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we know when it's these type of games, you said about the rivalries, like anything can happen. It doesn't matter. Just first team, second team, whoever's out there, guys are putting in max effort and giving it their all. But I think for us, honestly, is just playing our game, I know we're going there, and it's not really going to matter to us. We want to do what we do, keep the ball. That's going to help us a little bit. Not having to defend so much when we're away is hold on to the ball a little bit. It's one of our strengths. So we go and play our game and bring the intensity to match it at their home stadium with their home fans. And I think that should be good to help get us a result in the end. Who knows what's going to happen, but that's what we're looking to do.
Man, I guess let's talk a little bit non-work related questions before we get out of here. The weather has been pretty nice lately. Have you taken advantage of it and taking maybe your son out and about in any parks you've enjoyed so far?
Yeah, dude, the weather's been great recently. I'm hoping it stays like this, doesn't get too hot too quickly. Yeah, but we've been enjoying it. Houston's got a lot of great parks and stuff like that. We try to get the kid out, Herman Park and all these areas and trails. So he's been loving it. I get to say it's a little California weather going on right now, so he's getting to enjoy it. But no, we've had a good time, and hopefully, like I said, the heat's. We know it's coming, but maybe give us a few more weeks or something.
And obviously, you've been in Houston a few years now, so you know what to expect when summer rolls around. But do you have any go-to places that you like to hit up maybe for dinner, or maybe something you're still looking forward to trying out in Houston?
Yeah, for anyone out there listening, I'll take any recs you got on restaurants. We've had some good places so far, good food out here, but I'm always open to trying something I haven't seen on a list or whatever. So throw them our way, and we'll go check it out. But I mean, we're in the Heights. That's where we're at, and we kind of frequent a lot of spots over there. Any places we can get the kid out and let him kind of open area run around while we're doing stuff is great. So there's some good spots out there.
And I know you're probably a diehard LA sports fan, but with the Texans releasing a rebrand, I suppose. Wanted to know if you've been to all the major league stadiums here in Houston, and if so, which one did you enjoy the most?
I have not actually. I went to watch the Texans like preseason camp at their training ground. I mean, I've been to the stadium for the rodeo and stuff, but not for a game. No, that's something, having our kid early on the last 2 years, we didn't really get to many of those, but I think that's something we really want to try to do this year. So definitely plan on getting to an Astros game. I hear that's a good environment there. And would love to get to the Texans game when they start back up again. So they're looking pretty good this year as well. And then I know the Rockets just finished, but hopefully we'll get over there. Maybe I'll catch a Laker game next season or something. But,
Hey, I knew that was in you, man.
yeah, I still got the Laker fandom, but I'll represent Houston as well, so it's all good.
Last one. I guess outside of hanging out with your beautiful family, what does Daniel Stairs like to do in his spare time? Any interesting hobbies you may have?
I'm sure you've heard it from other guys here too, but golf's probably the number one right now. So this weather's prime for it. We're trying to get out as much as possible. Loved watching the Houston Open here. That was great. So that's probably the number one. Other than that, like you said, family time, exploring, going on some bike rides or something like that. So pretty casual, nothing too crazy.
Houston Dynamo fans travel well against Texas rivals. I think nearly 200 supporters or so are going to ride a couple of buses up I-45 and plenty others. I mean, sprinkled in the crowd, man. Any words you have for them as they head to Frisco, Texas for the weekend?
Yeah, no, we heard there's some groups going. We're looking to see if we can get as many as we can out there and help out in any way. So we're really looking forward to that. It's going to mean a lot to all of us on the field out there. We want to have that section bumping during the game and hear them nice and loud like we do at home. So yeah, have a good time out there. Be safe. We're looking forward to seeing everyone, and hopefully we'll give you guys something to cheer about on the weekend.
Thanks again for joining us here at Bayou City Soccer, Daniel. Best of luck against Dallas and the rest of the season, my friend.
Well, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I felt that was a decent interview. All right, we got to chat with good old Dan Stairs. He's starting to become a casual. I think this is the second or third time we get to talk to him, but a lot to unpack there. Obviously, let's go ahead and get started with Austin and Dustin. We'll start with you. Just your overall impressions. Obviously, you and me were there watching it from the press box. So, just your thoughts on that, man.
I think we were sitting in the press conference room waiting for Ben, and we were like, man, this is gonna suck because angry Ben is not
It's a
the
vibe.
nicest. It's a vibe. But I was like, we were looking at the stats and everything, and I was telling you like, 17 shots. I think they had like almost 2 xg. It's one of those games that like, pardon my language, but like shit happens.
Mhm.
Like over the course of a season, like you're gonna just totally outplay somebody, and then you're gonna get beat, and then, like you can't really like break it down and like say why it happened. Yeah, they didn't finish well, or they didn't, take the big chances that they had, but you see it happen all the time. The Dynamo stole that win in Colorado, kind of like that, just a late goal, kind of totally against the run of play, and Austin did the same thing, a goal kick after the Dynamo were just pounding them in the box, and they get a goal kick flicked on, and the guy's in 1-on-1, and they score, and that's the game. It's so, like, it sucks to lose a game like that, but at the same time, I think it's one of those games where not that you can take positive from it, but you can just kind of say, all right, that game didn't happen. Let's just go to the next one.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Just and well said about that Colorado game because we saw it. Dynamo doing Colorado. They technically did the same thing in Minnesota too. So sometimes you win, you lose some. You obviously expect the Dynamo to continue to be strong at home like they've been, even in the worst of days. Home has always been shell in the hell, right? Or hell in the shell of just being a fortress here. But what about you, hoodies, man? You see it from a different angle, man. Everybody kind of full of testosterone up there and
Well,
adrenaline.
I actually didn't. Go to this game. I
Were
had a
you?
wedding I had to be at.
There you go. So maybe you saw it with a clear head.
Well,
It
When
was
I
your
did
fault
see
they
some.
lost.
Yeah, probably because I hadn't missed the game. But yeah, I was actually pretty upset, and I hate it when like I forget to turn off my FOTMOB notifications. So I
Mhm.
got the notification before I actually saw it happen. So then I just saw it and I was like, man, because it was like 10 minutes left. So it was
Well,
frustrating because we had so many chances and we were in so much possession of the ball. Uh, but I do want to talk about it because Glenn Davis shared a bit on his Instagram page of like, like it was a play. I guess a Ache should have gone up for like to header the ball
mhm.
or contest against the player from Austin, and then he got to good header in and he passes the ball through and it's a good run. And I think that's the thing is like with getting him back into the season already and like if he would have been more willing to risk himself, he would have gone up and matched him up any day. So I think that was like the biggest piece of that play that made the difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the game as a whole, I think it was a great game for the
Yeah,
Dynamo.
yeah,
The thing is, people are gonna sit there and say, well, you have Sebas Ferreira, or which striker is gonna score?
yeah,
But the guys were taking shots. They
yeah,
were just straight to Stuver. Literally, whenever me and Dustin were discussing, especially right after the game, I told him, I'm like, dude, Stuver only dove once, and that was when Bossy shot it from outside of the 18. And even then, it wasn't like a full extension.
yeah,
But it was a little bit more of a parry away, while the other ones were
yeah.
straight at him. Nothing, you're not gonna score if you keep hitting the guy in front of you.
Nah,
So there's looks, and I think defensively they play very well. That play of that goal couldn't have been any more perfect, right? Um, Originally, just watching it live, I thought that Ache was the one that got, that it hit him like it hit the top of his head. But watching it again, you can see how the Austin guy just beats him, like you mentioned. I mean,
yeah,
the dude was, first of all, the dude is definitely taller than Ache, so he already had like a few inches, on him, and then him jumping, just scheming the ball, and Rigoni already going full speed. Again, even with stairs right next to him, it was just impossible of how
yeah,
clean that run, that play worked out. And their XG, I mean, Dustin, you probably have it in front of you, but I mean, that goal, it ricochets off the post and goes in. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
99% of the time, that ball's not going in.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So it was just an interesting, and yeah, it was funny because waiting for Ben, we thought we were gonna get Ben super aggravated, and played as day. He just said we got scored a shitty goal. He
Yeah,
went about it and mentioned it that way.
yeah,
And watching everything, watching the stats, no matter who was there, I think the team played well. And then obviously getting Achi is a big deal. The only thing that I don't necessarily like, and maybe we saw a little bit as soon as he came in, the team started to get more dependent. They were looking for him more instead of maybe in the whenever he hasn't been there. I feel like it's more fluid. It's everybody gets some time with the ball, and as soon as he went in, it was like look for Hector, and
yeah,
that was the case last year as well, and obviously worked out. We know how talented Ache is, but you hope that they don't fall into that full dependency on Hector Herrera, even though he can and has the ability to carry the team on his shoulders for sure. Doesn't.
yeah. If you look at last season, when you see Ache and Arthur and Coco moving the ball together in the midfield, it's like they set up this triangle where they just like keep the ball flowing.
Mm-hmm.
We just want that back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like you kind of talked about Rudy Hector, kind of like baby steps, right? And Ben talked about it, like he doesn't want to just throw Hector out there. Basically, like it's been a meeting of the minds between Ben and the trainers and even the front office. I'm sure Pat and Ted are involved because Hector's worth a lot of money, both on the field and off the field.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think as Hector gets his feet and gets more minutes, and obviously when he gets to start games and play full games, you're gonna see the like you were talking about the Arthur, Coco, Hector kind of up there with the best midfields in the league that we saw last year, and hopefully that comes soon with Hector. You asked him, Rudy, after the game how he felt
Mm-hmm.
getting his first minutes, and he was like feeling good, right?
Yeah, yeah. He basically said, he played 30 minutes. He said the first 20, like he felt good, but by minute 21, he's like, I felt like I still needed like catch my breath again. He was having trouble getting into the game in fitness form. Obviously, it takes a bit, right? There's nothing like training and an actual game. There's a big difference just because of the amount of rigorous work you have to do and how quickly you have to react. So I obviously we'll get into the next game, but at the same time, I don't expect him to be 90 minutes ready anytime soon. At least that would be the smart thing to do. And Ben is a very smart guy, so I hope that he doesn't risk him. Giving him more time than he needs as he's trying to get him settled. But the 30 minutes he was there, we noticed he was everywhere. It was the old Achiache. He was box to box. He body wise, he was making trapping the ball like he tends to do, kind of like jumping in the air, getting like he was active. So, physically he looks there. So hopefully this injury doesn't plague him the rest of the season. And it'd be smart just to kind of limit his minutes from the start. Um, there's a couple questions here, and I'll go through them. One question from Dago is I guess, our thoughts on Latif Blessing. Um, I guess Hootie, we'll start with you, man. What have you liked? I mean, obviously, same thing. Guys have been limited. He
Yeah.
started. He started. No, did he
Yeah,
start? Yeah, he did.
he started the
Yeah.
last two games.
He started the last two games. What have you liked of his game so far?
I remember when he used to play against us against LAFC. He seemed he seemed a lot more active. I mean, I didn't know his role with LAFC, but he seemed more active and more aggressive, which I haven't seen him that much this season with us. But maybe Ben is asking something else from him. So I'm hoping that he's more of a chance creator, more of like just keeping the ball flowing and being more aggressive and taking shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's been an interesting pickup,
Yeah,
Dustin. I mean,
it's interesting that he kind of is taking Coco's role, and they've moved Coco like back more into like the central midfield, which is kind of like Coco's natural position, I guess you could say. And they've kind of put Blessing in that right wing, kind of moves middle type position. Yeah, you haven't, like you said, you haven't seen a lot of chance creation or really. Like Saturday's game. I feel like I didn't really remember anything that he did in the game, which at times can be fine. Like Arthur, it's fine. He just passes the ball and defends people, and you don't really notice what's going on. But Blessing,
Mhm.
like you said, he really needs to like get into the attack more. Like we saw with LAFC, we saw Sporting Kansas City. He has like that ability to get in there. It's kind of like Brooklyn last year when they tried to put Brooklyn in that role, and he was just kind of lost playing that right wing midfield Coco role that they tried to play him in a few games, and then they just pushed him back to Dynamo 2 for a while. So hopefully Blessing's just kind of finding his way too.
Yeah, and you mentioned it kind of Hootie's on the role. I think with LAFC, we saw him play more centrally, and
Yeah.
he's definitely a versatile player that you can put as a from like a 6 to an 8 to a 10 to a winger. And right now, the spot that we've seen them, it's at a winger with the Dynamo, and it's a I think I made the joke in our group test in Bayou City Soccer, but I said we probably have the smallest attacking thread in the league. So when Tevas is not on. So a lot of those guys, you're not gonna see a lot of crosses. Something that even Ben joked around is like, do you really want to give crosses to Sebastian Kovalchik? I mean, but it's true. I mean, that's why you see him playing with a lot of false nine, and that leads to the question about Sebastian Ferreira. Obviously, he was back as well. Um, Dago and Rushan kind of have the same thing. One of saying like, will he be a big, threat again? I think so. Obviously, he's been dealing with an injury, but even whenever he's been playing, I think he's been strong enough and looks much different than we have. I mean, he's sacrificing his body more. He's running. He's holding the ball at times much better than we ever seen. And obviously, he has a goal and an assist, and the limited minutes he's seen. And Rushan says that es un tronco. So it's like so, and again, it's all about the your opinion and kind of what you see. But Hooties, what do you see? You see him being a threat again in the attacking, or you think he's a tronco as Rushan mentions over here?
We have a buddy that one of our on our cruise that just can't stand Sebas. His name is Trivi, so shout out to Trivi. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he seems more like a tronco to me right now, to be honest.
Mhm.
But like, I mean, I don't know. I want to see him like being able to push off defenders and kind of like make his space. I think that's what I want from a 9, and then be able to like either turn around and shoot or turn around and like pass the ball to continue the play. And I think sometimes it's like a little bit of that, but I mean, you want a presence. You want to like defenders to be scared, like this guy might score us, and he was drifts away, so then free up some space for another attacking winger. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what I would want from him. But I think some of the defenders are just like, nah, we got this guy.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
No, and I think like if you just take for instance this Austin game, I think the Dynamo holding the possession, and especially so late in the match of the game being, tied 0-0, it just kept congesting a lot of that attacking area. That's why there were so many body, both Austin and Dynamo for a long, on their goal side of stuff. And so I think it made it difficult for anybody to really do anything. And
Yeah.
what's helped the Dynamo lately, as we know, it's using some breakaway, right? Giving some of those players the opportunity to be out wide, out in the flanks, like Aliu, and kind of make those runs and getting behind the defenders. And that really didn't happen this match.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just him that looked bad. Most of the attacking players looked bad that match just because of how congested it was. But at the end of the day, you look at it and you see it as like, man, it's not a bad game. Now, everybody and every fan wants them to win, especially at home. It was a great crowd. Obviously, Hustletown had the Tifo out. I mean, it was just a good vibe. It just sometimes, as outsiders, we see it as like, damn, like the Dynamo could have taken advantage of this good crowd to hopefully see it again the next game and the next game. And
Yeah.
it seems like they dropped the ball and it just doesn't happen. And I mean, last year they were winning at home and nobody was coming, but there wasn't any close enough sellouts like the one against Austin. So it's just interesting. And like I said, I mean, in reality, the team is in sixth place. They have 13 points. I mean, they're in it. This is a long season, but you don't want to see them to continue to drop points at home. I mean, they've won 2 out of 3 away games, which is already pretty damn rare for them. So,
especially bottom of the table, Austin. You know.
right, yeah, on the lower side, and obviously that's what the Frisco people are at. And I guess let's go ahead and try to get moving to Kyle says, "Yo, what's up, Kyle? Thanks for joining us." Yeah, let's talk about the Texas Derby. I think some people see the Austin as a rivalry. Some people don't. Dustin doesn't see it as a rivalry at all. He doesn't understand it. Uh, but I mean, who the Texas one?
I think personally, I think what, and it's coming from a Dynamo like Batallon supporter. Austin fans are just annoying. I think that's more of the rivalry than anything.
I think Dustin had said it best. What did you call it one time? They're in Third Bay, or what was it?
Oh, I said that their fans were born on third base and act like they hit a triple.
Yeah,
exactly. Like they got a lot of all the expansion. You know, they got it really good from the start, and they're very vocal about telling you about all of their success.
So that's a nice way to say they're annoying.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we agree with you in that case. But obviously the big rivalry is always going to be against Dallas, and that goes for Houston, Dallas, and any pro sport that they face. It's a big one. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. I think Dustin, I'm assuming you're probably not going to be there either. And it's one of those that when you go over there, there's a lot of tension just in general because nobody wants to lose this game, right? Obviously, fans are going to be rowdy. It's going to be a full stadium. There's going to be a lot of Dynamo supporters just because of the proximity, and vice versa. When they come here, you see the same thing, right? In that scenario. But talking to Daniel, I mean, I mentioned the fact that there's a couple supporters or a good amount of supporters going out there, and he kind of mentioned that they're trying to help out. Getting more people out there. I don't know if you know what is that? I'm assuming Hootie's you're gonna go down there. What is that looking like? How many people you think are signed up for at least the supporter group, and what are buses and stuff like that looking like, man?
I mean, there's you guys know there's like El Batallon, and then there's a lot of different segments, LBC guys, and then there's a Surge. And generally, I know that Surge likes to have their own bus, and we kind of like to have our own bus, and whatever the situation may be, as long as we get it full, we got a good crew out there. But I think about 100, I'd say 120 is what I last heard that I know of. But then usually it's like front office people that go out there as well, and some other people that work with Dynamo. So it looks like a big crowd as well, But I think my first game that we went out there, they parked us all the way at the end of the lot, and I think that's this game. I think you and
oh yeah, that's an interesting game.
Yeah. But it was a long walk, right? So the stadium. I think this last time they dropped us off at the front of the stadium, which was I think we handled a little bit better, and it gives us a little bit of time to like get off, relax, and then kind of like start getting loud as soon as we pull up, and it starts getting, it creates the vibe for us. So I'm hoping it's a big group that shows up, and hopefully we get this bus situation figured out, and then we go out there, rolling deep.
Yeah, and obviously, no matter what, I mean, you guys will be in bunches, and then throughout the stadium, there'll be orange and probably purple, I guess, this time around. So it'd be sprinkled in, and it's usually a good crowd. Like I said, the vibe is good. It's a good rivalry, and who doesn't love to go to those games for sure, man? So yeah, those are fun. Going into just Dallas, Dustin. Lots of injuries, man, for them. They're not the same Dallas they played last year. Ferreira out. It's Velasco's out. What are your thoughts on what Dallas looking like? And I think aren't they last right now, currently in the West?
Yeah. Your boy Pomacall's out too.
Oh, I love that guy.
I know you like him. Yeah, they won the first game of the season. They haven't won since then.
Mhm.
They've been really bad. Like you said, a lot of injuries. But they're just a very incomplete team. It feels like when you watch them. It's a derby, so anything can happen. We saw we saw it on Saturday. Anything can happen. Like Huri
Mhm.
said, at bottom of the standings, Austin comes in to Houston and wins. With a fluke goal. Um, this is a game the Dynamo should win. Like I feel like in the past we've always thought, "Ooh, the Dynamo on the road. Maybe they can get a tie and just get 1 point." But like you said, they've won 2 road games already out of 3.
Mhm.
So they maybe are a decent road team. And this Dallas team is not good. I mean, they they just they seem lost a lot. Is a lot of that on the Nico Estevez? Dallas fans might tell you yes, but I feel like this is a game you need to go there and you need to beat them.
Mhm.
You need to not establish dominance in the rivalry or anything. Like it's a April regular season game, so beating them is not going to like flip the script or anything. But you you're better than them. You being the Dynamo, you have more talent than them. You have Hector back. You need to go and win this game.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and it's funny that you say that because I think it's been a while since the Dynamo have won in Toyota. So it's been a bit since they've won in over there.
Yeah, I was looking at the.
I think it was like 2017, maybe even longer than that actually.
I'm looking at the stats right now. I'm having
Yeah.
to scroll a lot.
You remember we could have won that game when they didn't count
Oh,
that free kick
yeah,
on Memo?
the memo
Oh yeah,
goal was that. Yeah.
Memo's
No,
free
I
kick bounced
yeah
over the
that
line.
that was a good game. I mean, the Dynamo. I think one of the. It was really early in the season, if I remember correctly,
Yeah,
and I think maybe third or fourth game with Nagamura in charge, and that was definitely a goal. From our point of view, we didn't need a camera. I mean, everybody actually people took video of it, and that ball looked
Mm-hmm.
across by 2 balls basically, and that was the conversation we had about the camera system. Obviously,
Yeah,
those games were at ESPN Plus, and I think it was ESPN Plus. We're
yeah, it
showing them
was
at the
because this was
time,
before Apple. Yeah, for sure.
and there wasn't enough cameras. And I remember Dustin, you wrote a great article, kind of letting everybody know what the hell, man. Just because you're in different stadiums, you all need to have the same camera system. So,
Yeah.
hmm
yeah.
so looking back through the stats, the last time the Dynamo won in Dallas was September 24th, 2011.
Wow, that's yeah, that's
Jeff
crazy.
Cameron Jeff Cameron scored at Pizza Hut Park to beat them
That
1-0.
yeah, it's been a while. Like I said, I did see that the Dynamo drew a few times over there, but uh, I mean, this could change it all, right? You're absolutely correct in saying how the Dynamo right now on paper are the better team, and if it has to be now or never at this point. You're again Dallas is limping right now. They're hoping to get some of those players back. Hell, Joey Chavala can't wait for Jesus Ferreira to be back in the lineup to score some goals for his selfish reasons of golden boot opportunity here in
Yes.
our MLS group. But this is not the day. All right, this
No,
is not the weekend for him to
maybe
come
next week.
back and score a few goals. So of course, I think it should be a good one. So let's go with that, man. I think everybody feels a little optimistic. Apart from having good vibes, hoodies.
Yeah.
What are you thinking when it comes to the result, man?
I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I feel confident we can get this win. Like just like Dustin was talking about, they're handicapped right now, and I think it's a good time to take advantage of the opportunity. I mean, uh, their attacking front doesn't look so scary, and I can't stand Jesus Ferreira, especially what he did to us here, in our stadium. So yeah, I can't stand that guy. So I'm really glad he's not there. So I feel like we can get a good result. I would be happy with the tie, but I would be even happier if we get the win. And
Yeah.
I mean, as far as us, we're gonna be rocking it, and I think that's something that I told you. I talked to Eric about. It's like Chevchenko. I told him that we're gonna be loud. We want to get the result for you guys. And like, yeah, we need you guys. So that's our goal. And Thor spoke about this last year, not last time we were there. He's like, I heard our fans more than we heard their fans. And that's our win. That we could be louder than the opposing band or supporter group.
Yeah, for sure, man. It should be a good one. So, Dustin, you say win. You want to throw a final result for that? If you say a win, you don't have to say win. Sorry, didn't want to put you on the clock there.
I'm gonna go. You know me. I'm like the negative guy usually. I'm gonna
3-0 loss. Huh?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 2-1 Dynamo.
Okay. Yeah, I feel positive as well, man. I think this is the time that the Dynamo can finally win after 13 years. You said it's been a while, man. I think Hootie's kid is 13 or something like that at this point. Kid hasn't seen a win over there, so yeah. I think 2-1 sounds reasonable. It'd be you're still playing away. The crowd, whichever way, is going to get into it, and if we know anything can happen, right? So it should be a good one, man. But we're close to the end. This is probably our longest episode. It's been a good one so far. Let's just finish off with the players that the Dynamo just recently signed, Dustin. So Mackenzie Gaines was announced. The Dynamo got him via trade with Nashville. What do you want to add on that, and how much did they give up for him?
Yeah, I'll be quick. 75,000 in GAM next year, so they're not even sending any cash this year. Gaines makes like 100,000. He's very cheap salary wise. I saw another MLS website call it a foolish spending or something. What's going on with that? But we wrote an article at BayouCitySoccer.com kind of talking about what Gaines is. He loves to dribble. He loves to beat people on the dribble. He's really good at it. He's like in the 98th, 99th percentile in beating people on dribbles. Something that Dynamo don't really have at all on their roster. There's no one that's even like close to that. Aliu does like 0.3 dribbles per 90, and Mackenzie Gaines is like 5 or 6 per 90. Like he just runs at people all game. So it's gonna be interesting to see him in this offense, especially late in games. I know Christian loves the super sub term, but he can kind of be that, especially in that Austin game. It would have been nice to have somebody that just kind of just runs at defenses. So he's gonna be good. And then Valverde, who we're waiting to hear they officially signed, but Tom Bogert said it's done, so it's done. A defensive midfielder.
He has spoken.
Yeah, defensive midfielder, which they desperately need. God forbid anything happened to Artur, they'd be really screwed.
Mm-hmm.
With defensive midfielders, you could play Grey Goose there, I guess, but having another guy in that midfield, not having to rely on guys like Reigns or some of the young guys, it's good to have another depth piece. And I think they're waiting till the summer to get a designated player, which fans probably don't want to hear, but it makes sense because the summer is when guys are out of contract, in Europe or in other leagues, and when those leagues are more willing to sell guys because they're in their off season too. Like right now, they're not really looking to sell people because they're still in the middle of the season. They can't really replace them. So I think summer is when they're going to be looking for a DP. What position they look at, where Antoine Griezmann not coming probably, but we'll see what they do in the summer. Pat Onsted's got some scouting to do.
Yeah, especially with the rules getting implemented, right? New rules in the summer. So what it would be either 3 DPs and 3 young DPs, or 2 DPs and then
3D. You can get 3 DPs and 3 U22s, or you can get 2 DPs and 4 U22s. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how the Dynamo work with that, because they seem to be doing pretty good with the U22s. Nelson Quinones hurt, obviously, but so far so good on those. So if you give them a couple more of those with the scouting and the identification that they have now at the club, I think they could do really good at bringing in some more good players.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I think this has been a great episode. Hooties, thanks for joining us. Before we let this thing go quits, I know Manny Gutierrez tends to say that EV it's for everyone, but it's not for everyone type of thing. So, how can people connect with you guys in El Batallón, and maybe if people are going out to the game, what section or
Yeah.
where they can meet you up?
Texas Tailgate, man. That's our home base. We go there. We have drink specials and stuff, and you can easily become a member, man. Just talk to us, ask us questions. I mean, even just me, I'm just early on coming on with the EB, and I will say that I came on as a family already, and that's kind of like the vibe that we try to create. And as much as it may seem like we're knuckleheads and stuff like that, I think we like to have a good time, right? Even just with the bus ride, like it's the vibe, the experience, learning the songs and stuff like that. So come out, meet us up at Texas Tailgate before games, or you can follow the Twitter pages for EBL Batallon on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, and then on Instagram, hit us up on DMs like, hey, where are you guys gonna be at today and stuff like that, and come and hang, man.
Sounds good, man. So yeah, let's basically end it up this with check out the website BayouCitySoccer.net. Check all our social medias at Bayou City Soccer, X, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You mostly will talk to Dustin if you're hitting Twitter, and check if you need me, hit Instagram basically. But
Basically.
yeah, but no, thanks for everybody that listens to the streams live as well as the recordings. And if you listen to the podcast, like I tend to do pretty much everything that I listen to, man, subscribe, like, rate, let us know what we're doing wrong. If you guys don't like Hooties and never want to see them again, let us know too. But no,
You're
yeah,
stuck
man.
with me.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of me.
But
Race, you can.
yeah,
no.
I was kidding.
I haven't
But-
even seen. I have I ran into you to the stadium before? Maybe.
I don't know.
probably.
I've seen Christian and Rudy all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dustin's there all the time. He just stays hidden most of the
Okay,
most
he's
of the
probably in
game.
the press box.
Yeah. The gringo. They're like the gringo in the press box.
But yeah, don't forget to always hold it down and keep it forever orange.
Houston! Houston!